through greed, avarice, lust, envy, and hatred. Remember, your mind attracts that which your mind dwells. Remember, your mind attracts that which your mind dwells. Remember, your mind attracts that which your mind dwells.
Welcome back to River Queen Conjure, Oshun Ajay Exclusive, and No Narc Network TV. I am the Oracle, Oshun Ajay. We are on lesson 15 of Dissecting the Devil. I hope you guys have gotten caught up on the lessons. I hope that the new people who wish to join the classes have been going through the classes 1 through 14. For those who would like to join the private No Narc Network, the links to Oshun Ajay Exclusive and Badass Witch Exclusive are in the description box. This is lesson 15, you guys. I'm not going to hold you up. Let's get it.
To divert you away from my opposition, I had only to feed you on thoughts helpful to my cause.
If I understand what you are saying, you are admitting that no human being need fear the devil or worry about how to flatter God.
That is it precisely. This admission may put a crimp in my style, but I have the satisfaction of knowing it may also slow down my opposition by sending people direct to the source of all power.
In other words, if you cannot control people through negative bribes or fear, then you wish to kick over the entire apple cart and show people how to go around God. Are you by any chance in politics too? Your technique seems frightfully familiar.
Am I in politics? If I am not in politics, who do you believe starts depressions and forces people into wars? Surely you would not lay this at the door of my opposition. As I have already told you, I have allies in all walks of life. All walks of life. All walks of life. All walks of life. I have allies in all walks of life to help me in connection with all human relationships.
Why don't you take over the churches and use them outright in your cause?
Do you think I am a fool? Who would keep alive the fear of the devil if I subdued the churches? Who would serve as a decoy to attract the attention of people while I manipulate their mind? If I did not have some agency through which to sow the seeds of fear and doubt. The cleverest thing I do is to use the allies of my opposition to keep the fear of hell burning in the minds of people. As long as people fear something, no matter what, I will keep a grip on them.
I'm beginning to see your scheme. You use the churches to plant the seed of fear and uncertainty and indefiniteness in the minds of people. These negative states of mind cause people to form the habit of drifting. This habit crystallizes into permanency through the law of hypnotic rhythm. Then the victim is helpless to help himself. Is that right? Hypnotic rhythm, then, is something to be watched and respected.
A better way of stating the truth is that hypnotic rhythm is something to be studied, understood, and voluntarily applied to attain definite desired ends.
So instead of allowing ourselves to be involuntarily swept up in the law of hypnotic rhythm and pulled into a downward spiral of, depression, darkness, and or destruction, we can voluntarily apply the law of hypnotic rhythm in reverse to bring about a desired outcome, okay? So knowing that all is mind, this is where we have to plant the seeds, okay? So you have to think only of the thoughts that you wish to see made manifest, okay? Think of those thoughts until they begin to feel as if they are happening. Your feelings, your emotions are literally energy in motion. It is the energy that pushes your manifestation from the etheric realm into the 3D reality. Your emotions will influence your actions, and it will ultimately be your actions that will bring about the manifestation. Okay?
If the force of hypnotic rhythm is not voluntarily applied to attain definite ends, may it be a great danger?
Yes, and for the reason that it operates automatically. If it is not consciously applied to attain a desired end, it can, and it will, operate to attain undesired ends.
So the way that hypnotic rhythm is working in the average person's life who is not narcissistic is that I want you to remember my dream, guys, and how, the people were possessed and didn't even know it, okay? So for the average person, they are under hypnosis and don't know it as far as being a part of the human rat race, okay? Being on someone else's time clock, being a worker bee, part of the workforce, and just hypnotically going around in circles as far as getting up at a certain time, showing up at a certain time, going home at a certain time, doing the same things and obtaining the same results, okay? So the average person who is not a narc is still hypnotized and is still caught up in hypnotic rhythm, okay?
Take the simple illustration of climate, for example. Anyone can see and understand that nature forces every living thing and every element of matter to adjust itself to her climates. In the tropics, she creates trees which bear fruit and reproduce themselves. She forces the trees to adjust themselves to her scorching sun. She forces them to put out leaves suitable for protection against the rays of the sun. These same trees could not survive if removed to the Arctic regions, where nature has established an entirely different climate. In the colder climate, she creates trees which are adjusted to survive and to reproduce themselves, but they could not survive if transplanted in the tropical regions. In the same manner, nature clothes her animals, giving to those in each different climate a covering suited to their comfort and survival in that climate. In a similar manner, nature forces upon the minds of men the influences of their environment, which are stronger than the individual's own thoughts. Children are forced to take on the nature of all influences of those around them, unless their own thoughts are stronger than the influences. Nature sets up a definite rhythm for every environment, and everything within the range of that rhythm is forced to conform to it. Man alone has the power to establish his own rhythm of thought, providing he exercises this privilege before hypnotic rhythm has forced upon him the influences of his environment. Every home, Every place of business, every town and village, and every street and community center has its own definite, discernible rhythm.
Not only does every city, neighborhood, and household have its own rhythm, but it also has its own vibe.
If you wish to know what a difference there is in the rhythms of streets, take a walk up Fifth Avenue in New York. And then down a street in the slums. All forms of rhythm become permanent with time.
Does each individual have his own rhythm of thought?
Yes, that is precisely the major difference between individuals. The person who thinks in terms of power, success, opulence, sets up a rhythm which attracts these desirable possessions. The person who thinks in terms of misery, failure, defeat, discouragement, and poverty attracts these undesirable influences.
I think that guys that smoke marijuana, or to me, in my opinion, when you smoke it long enough, you do become physically addicted to it, and it does change your perception.
You like to smoke weed and stuff. Yeah. You are so high. That's what the fuck you are.
This explains why both success and failure are the result of habit. Habit establishes one's rhythm of thought, and that rhythm attracts the object of one's dominating thoughts.
Hypnotic rhythm is something resembling a magnet which attracts things for which it has a magnetic affinity. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. That is why the poverty-stricken herd themselves into the same communities. It explains that old saying, misery loves company. It also explains why people who begin to succeed in any undertaking find that success multiplies with less effort as time goes on. All successful people use hypnotic rhythm. All successful people use hypnotic rhythm. All successful people use hypnotic rhythm, either consciously or unconsciously, by expecting and demanding success. The demand becomes a habit, hypnotic rhythm takes over the habit, and the law of harmonious attraction translates it into its physical equivalent.
In other words, if I know what I want from life, demand it, and back my demand by a willingness to pay life's price for what I want, and refuse to accept any substitutes, the law of hypnotic rhythm takes over my desire and helps, by natural and logical means, to transmute it into its physical counterpart. Is that true?
That describes the way the law works.
Science has established irrefutable evidence that people are what they are because of heredity and environment. They bring over with them at birth a combination of all the physical qualities of all their numberless ancestors. After they arrive here, they reach the age of self-consciousness, and from there on, they shape their own personalities, and more or less fix their own earthly destinations as the result of the environmental influences to which they are subjected, especially the influences which control them during early childhood. These two facts have been so well established, there's no room for any intelligent person to question them. How can hypnotic rhythm change the nature of a physical body, which is a combination of thousands of ancestors who have lived and died before one is born? How can hypnotic rhythm change the influence of one's environment? People who are born in poverty and ignorance have a strong tendency to remain poverty-stricken and ignorant all through life. What, if anything, can hypnotic rhythm do about this?
Hypnotic rhythm cannot change the nature of the physical body one inherits at birth. But it can and it does modify change, control and make permanent one's environmental influences.
If I understand what you mean, a human being is forced by nature to take on and become a part of the environment he chooses, or the environment that may be forced upon him?
That is correct.
So whether you take on the environment that was forced upon you or take on the environment that you choose is wholly contingent upon whether or not you use the law of hypnotic rhythm consciously or unconsciously.
But there are ways and means by which an individual may resist the influences of an environment he does not wish to accept, and also a method of procedure by which one may reverse the application of hypnotic rhythm from negative to positive ends.
Do you mean that there is a definite method by which hypnotic rhythm can be made to serve instead of destroy one?
I mean just that.
Tell me how this astounding end may be attained.
For my description to be of any practical value, it will be necessarily lengthy, because it will have to cover 7 principles of psychology which must be understood and applied by all who use hypnotic rhythm to aid them in forcing life to yield that which they want.
Then break your description into 7 parts, each giving a detailed analysis of one of the 7 principles with simple instructions for its practical application. Your Majesty will now proceed to unfold the secrets of the 7 principles through which human beings may force life to provide them with spiritual, mental, and physical freedom. Do not be sparing in your description of these principles. I want a complete illustration of how the principles may be used by anyone who chooses to use them. Tell us all you know about the principle of definiteness of purpose.
If you go through with this mad idea of publishing my confession, you will open the gates of hell and turn loose all the precious souls I have collected back down through the ages. You will deprive me of souls yet unborn. You will release from my bondage millions now living. Stop, I beg of you.
Open up. Let's hear what you have to say about the principle of definiteness of purpose.
You are pouring water on the fires of hell, but the responsibility is yours, not mine. I may as well tell you that any human being who can be definite in his aims and plans can make life hand over whatever is wanted.
That is a broad claim, Your Majesty. Do you wish to tone it down a bit?
Tone it down? No, I wish to tone it up. When you hear what I now have to say, you will understand why the principle of definiteness is so important. My opposition uses a clever little trick to cheat me of my control over people. The opposition knows that definiteness of purpose closes the door of one's mind so tightly against me that I cannot break through unless I can induce one to form the habit of drifting.
In other words, the devil cannot infiltrate your mind unless he can successfully distract you from your purpose.
Why doesn't your opposition give your secret to all people by telling them to avoid you through definiteness of purpose? You have already admitted that 2 out of every 100 people belong to your opposition.
Because I am more clever than my opposition. I draw people away from definiteness with my promises. You see, I control more people than my opposition because I am a better salesman and a better showman. I attract people by feeding them liberally of the thought habits in which they like to indulge.
Is definiteness of purpose something with which one must be born, or may it be acquired?
Everyone, as I have told you before, is born with the privilege of being definite, but 98 out of every 100 people lose this privilege by sleeping on it. The privilege of definiteness can be maintained only by adopting it as a policy by which one is guided in all the affairs of life.
Since definiteness of purpose is the starting point of all achievement, let's learn a little bit more about it from
Napoleon Hill.
How do you do? I'm very happy to have this personal visit with you. Won't you be seated, please? And now, may I request that you forget all your problems and just relax while I bring you the master key with which you may unlock the door to any opportunity that your mind can conceive. The master key consists of 17 principles, the first of which is definiteness of purpose. Right here at the beginning of our visit, I'm going to make you a promise. If you
Join the private No Narc network. You gain access to the full lesson 1 of the Master Key series taught by Napoleon Hill himself. The links to Oshun Ajay exclusive and Badass Witch exclusives are in the description box if you'd like to join the private No Narc network. A big thank you to the people who donated over the past few days. My Cash App and PayPal links are in the description. Everyone who donates does go on my money altar on Thursdays, okay? And this ends lesson 15, guys. Until we meet again, keep it classy, keep it clean, and do what you gotta do to make shit happen. Peace.